We know Social Security recipients are going to receive a big 8.7% cost of living adjustment, but who's paying for it? Are you going to have to pay more in Social Security taxes? You're not going to like this answer. I got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. You might not want to, though, depending on if you're retired and drawing Social Security or if you're not yet. We all know that one of the big advantages of Social Security and why it's so important for you to plan appropriately for it as you're kind of building your own financial plan, your retirement plan, is it's one of the only income sources you're going to have in retirement that slays all three retirement risk dragons, okay? And so number one, there's no market volatility. Whether the market's up, market's down, Social Security is going to stay the same. Number two, it defies longevity. You can live as long as you possibly can. Social Security will still be there. So it doesn't matter if you have a very long life, lots of longevity, your Social Security is guaranteed to last as long as you're living. And then three, it keeps up with inflation. It fights inflation. And that's where many other fixed income sources fall down or don't keep up, if you will. So here's the thing. We know inflation's been soaring at the fastest rate in 40 years. And so this cost of living adjustment that Social Security makes every single year for people that are collecting Social Security, we know it's an astronomical number this year, 8.7%. That's fantastic if you're drawing Social Security. But we also know money doesn't grow on trees. Where's this money coming from? It's tax money that is taxpayers' money that's going towards this. So does this mean that if you're still working, you actually have to pay more into Social Security to account for this bigger increase, this cost of living adjustment? The bad news is, unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes. Now let me get there. The taxes that pay into Social Security are through that four-letter F word. It's the FICA tax, okay? The Federal Insurance Contribution Act, FICA. Out of every paycheck since you were a busboy or like your very first job, you've been paying FICA. If you're self-employed, you'll pay self-employment tax, which is FICA times 2. I'll get to that in just a second. So FICA is 7.65% up to a certain number. All right, and that's important because that 7.65% is actually broken into two components of social benefits. 6.2%, so the bulk of it is Social Security. And you're going to pay that 6.2 part of FICA up to the wage base, and that is having a record increase in 2023. That's where these higher taxes are going to come from. Okay, so let's go back to that FICA, 7.65%. So 6.2 is the Social Security portion. You're going to pay that up to the Social Security wage base, and then that's it. You can continue to earn and have wages above that, and you're not going to pay that 6.2 on it. 1.45 then, so the rest of FICA goes to pay for Medicare. And that's going to be taxed on all of your earned income, okay? So even if you're making $500,000 or whatever, even though Social Security will stop at that threshold, the Medicare portion of FICA will continue. In fact, if your overall adjusted gross income is even higher, you'll have an additional Medicare tax you have to pay on your tax return. So that's where these taxes come from that go to pay for Social Security. In 2022, that Social Security wage base, okay, and they call it the wage base because these are the amount of wages that your Social Security benefit is calculated on. Well, your benefit's calculated on them because that's how much earnings you have that you're paying Social Security tax on, that 6.2%. So it was $147,000. That was the limit for 2022, and that's up from the previous year, and it's been going up, okay? For 2023, that $147,000 limit is skyrocketing to $160,200. You can see numerically that is the largest increase on this chart. Yes, you can look at percentages and when in 1973, for example, from 73 to 74, there was almost a 30% jump in your wages that were subject to this Social Security tax. But numerically, this $13,200 increase that you're going to have to pay Social Security tax on, the 6.2% of your Social Security tax, that's the largest numerical increase. Now, What is that percentage basis? Because I was just talking to one of the co-hosts of the Wise Money Talk Show just the other day, Josh Gregory, and he was saying, well, if all of this was based on the same cost of living adjustment, the same inflationary number, then it would all make sense. But it doesn't. It doesn't. This calculation, roughly 8 to 9%, 8.9%, something like that. That's close to the 8.7% cost of living adjustment that retirees are going to receive in their benefit next year. So you could almost argue, this is approximately where it's going to come from. Okay, so, but if you go back and look at history, that the amount that your Social Security wage base was increasing did not line up with the cost of living adjustment each year that Social Security recipients receive. So guys, it's really just a separate calculation. It's more of a mystery, okay? But huge increase. Now, what does this mean numerically? It's not going to break the bank, but it's squeezing more tax dollars as a way of raising taxes. It's about $800-900 is the actual increase, so $13,200 at 6.2%. Okay, it's not that much money. It's less than $1,000, but you're going to pay that, and your employer is going to pay that too, because 6.2% comes out of your FICA, but it's also 6.2% of payroll tax. So your employer matches that as well. And this same thing, your employer is going to have to pay, increasing their costs, potentially reducing their profits, or adding to inflation because they're going to have to pass that on as well. Just another example of that. So terribly frustrating to you workers right now. You need to be aware of it. Now, is this sort of a one-time thing and then, hopefully things ease back down? No, guys, we know Social Security is not sustainable right now. And we know that the current shelf life is Social Security is going to be insolvent they just moved it to 2034. My guess is that will be coming back down or coming down to 2033, 2032. Guys, we're 10 years. We're 10 years away from a monumental change to Social Security. So how are they going to change it? Well, it's very possible. They've been talking about increasing the Social Security wage base that you pay Social Security on. They've talked about increasing up to $250,000. They've talked a lot recently about keeping it at whatever the level, 160 or whatever it is, but then having it restart again once your income is above 400, okay? They've also, and I would say the cleanest math, is they've talked about taking the 6.2% of Social Security and just increasing it 2%, making it 8.2. In fact, based on the last numbers that I saw directly from Social Security Administration, doing that would actually solve Social Security for now, okay? And move it from insolvent to actually, yep, this thing is going to work now. So we'll see. Any of those I think are going to be gutsy and challenging for Congress to act on, and it's typical that they don't act until there's a crisis. So guys, we're probably bumping right up against that 10-year limit or 10-year time frame before Congress officially does anything with Social Security. But my guess is these tax increases for Social Security for people to pay in the system only have to continue because the Social Security is currently on its way to being insolvent and has a pretty short runway. All right, so there you have it. That's the increase that you're going to have, those of you high wage earners, that's the increase you're going to have to pay for your Social Security. From $147,000 was the cap, your wages, your paycheck money. That's not dividends, that's not interest, that's not rental income, that sort of stuff. Just your wages. You had to pay the Social Security part of FICA up to $147,000 last year. It's increasing by the largest amount ever, up to $160,200. So work with your certified financial planner. I think that'll be a manageable amount for you it's not going to have to change your budget, whatever. However, I would go back to the big changes upcoming with Social Security. Have you modeled that out in your retirement plan? Obviously, not very fun to do that when you model out, well, inflation has been, we're spending more, so you got to model that in. Markets have come down a little bit, got to model that in. This is yet another reason why you've got to be working with a certified financial planner, because some of the changes that are going to impact your retirement, you have a lot of control over. Like, when are you going to be done? How much are you saving? How much risk are you going to take? Those sorts of things. But there is a lot that will impact your ability to retire with confidence that's outside of your ability to control. You can't influence it at all. Like this. So work with your certified financial planner, do some stress tests, make sure that you're on track and you're planning to optimize Social Security. Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.